The Immortal Mask, a 1970s superhero crime noir adventure, follows a retired soldier turned reporter who is given a coveted interview with a death row inmate. What he learns thrusts him into Atlanta's shadowy underworld. He'll have to use his military training to survive being hunted for possessing the information that could topple the city's most powerful ruling class. This is not a pre-order or a crowdfunding campaign. Get your books now at denali's.com.
Oh man, I wish I could find a way to better advertise Apothic Press.
Just back it already.
Whoa, Crom, what are you doing here? What's this? The Madness Roku Network. Sponsorship. 1 month of playing your 30-second ad on the network 3 times a day? Oh my gosh, for $20? And you can't beat that.
Just back it already.
All right, Crom, I'm doing it. Awesome. Hi, I'm Tanner Hervey, founder of Apothic Press. I back the Madness Roku Network, and so should you.
I was sitting all alone in my library chair when I found a book and it gave me a scare. The pages I kept turning, it quite took me in. What was it? Oh, where do I begin? We read the monsters. I read the monsters next door. The monsters. It had short stories galore. The monsters. It's full of horror and gore. The monsters. I read the monsters next door.
Oh, 25 seconds to curtain, folks.
Your favorite podcast is Critical Blast.
Ladies and gentlemen from Beyond Time, please welcome Mr. John Hervey.
How you doing, RJ?
You know what? I am officially a little bit better than I was when you asked the question.
See, all it takes is a little,
Just
little
a sip.
libation to it. Man, you lost weight since the last time I was on your show.
Thank you for noticing. Yes, I've I donate plasma a couple times a week. That's all they let you do.
That'll do it.
Well, no. That doesn't do it at all. But they weigh you every time you go in.
Oh.
And I got tired of seeing that number go up all the time. So I finally decided to do something about it. And I tried different things. And a friend of mine, I'd seen him and he'd lost a ton of weight. And I said, "What'd you do?" He's like, "I cut out carbs." I'm like, "How do you do this?" He's like, "What do you have for breakfast?" I'm like, "Bacon and eggs." He said, "You're halfway there." It's like, okay. But yeah, I started looking at the labels and try to remember, keep it under 50 carbs a day is the rule. I keep it under 10. So I started really shedding the pounds. I've lost 30 pounds in 2.5 months.
That's amazing, brother.
I'm feeling better. I don't, I'm not wheezing as much. I walk a lot more.
Yeah.
And without losing my breath. It's I'm glad I did it. I'm gonna. It's a lifestyle change too. I think I cheat. I'm not like, oh, I can't have that. That's got 30 carbs. I'm like, it's Saturday. We're having pizza.
Right. Exactly. But you're
You
not
gotta
doing it
live
every
your
day.
life.
Yeah, you're not doing
Yeah.
it every day.
Yeah, you can't just go to the cupboard and say, yeah, you know what? It's between meals. I'm kind of hungry. I'm just gonna pour a big old glass of milk and grab 3 Hostess cupcakes and sit down.
Yeah.
Not every day.
Not
It's
every day.
moderation in all things. That's what the man said. Man, how your business been doing? I see you got your Magna hat on. You got the Black Tiger Hidden Dragon comic going. And suddenly, we don't have John Hervey anymore. Time has recalled him. There's been a blip in the matrix. The vortex has sealed. I think he moved his hand and possibly unplugged his computer. There he is.
I just fat fingered myself right out of the show.
I've done it before too. I tried to click on a tab
Yeah.
and ended up clicking a shortcut in the StreamYard. It's like, okay, we'll go to that webpage and left this one behind.
Says we're out of here.
Yeah, you've been busy, man. You got titles going on. What's happening?
I do. So Black Tiger, that's what we're actually it's currently live. That's the campaign that's currently live. It's actually in the 3rd installment of Black Tiger. I know it's kind of confusing. It says volume 2 of Hidden Dragon, but Legacy of Fury came out as one full volume. That was 172 pages. And then Hidden Dragon has been split into 2 volumes. So for those that are new to Black Tiger, you can get all that goodness in one campaign. So you can get nearly 350 pages of Black Tiger stuff.
That's an excellent deal. And that campaign he's talking about, folks, it's right down there. The link is right below the video. So hit it, click it. We're gonna be looking at it here. And I scrolled through it today because I steal graphics off of campaigns to make these very simplistic little cards for the show. And like you're giving away the whole book. The entire book is like in black and white at the bottom of the campaign. Like, I just read the whole thing right here.
There's a lot of pages, but there's a lot more pages than what's down there. I mean, still 88 pages of story, but there is. So in the black and white, that's for those folks that want to buy some of Rod's original art. There's some pencil pages. There's some ink pages. And then whatever doesn't sell here on the campaign, I guarantee you he'll sell it at auction and he'll do very well.
Take up heritage auctions and try it there.
Mm-hmm.
I've seen a lot of original artwork selling there lately. That's a thing.
Yeah.
I want to take a moment and say hi to Pops. Pops is wrapping up the Roku Network campaign for the Madness. We played that ad up there, so be sure to check that out too. Get over to the Madness Comic Network, get on Kickstarter, and just look up Madness Network, and you'll find that Roku channel. Pops, if you're still here, obviously throw that link into the chat.
Support Pops.
We want to see this. This is the weirdest kind of industry, indie comics, because it's the only industry I know of where we want our competitors to succeed.
Absolutely.
So like, we're buying each other's comics. We're like, yeah, this is good stuff, man. I support you. Grocery stores don't do that.
Oh yeah.
Computer sales places don't do that. Walmart doesn't do it with Target. So it's
well, the difference is we grow our market that way.
Yeah.
That's
right. The more people buying indie comics, the more people in the market to buy your indie comic.
Exactly. And you can see the growth in the industry. There's still such a large group of folks that read comics that either haven't been introduced, whether it's to crowdfunded books or aren't comfortable with them. I mean, it's like we've really just hit the tip of the iceberg. I mean, even when you look at the numbers of some of our campaigns that do really well, and you look at the units, you're just like, man, there are so many readers out there that we're not reaching yet.
Let me tell you, if you look at the units, something to make you feel good, folks, is the independent comics market collectively is bigger than DC and Marvel together.
Look at that.
That's if you think comics are dying and you're just looking at the big two, you're basically looking at your rear left tire and seeing it flat and saying, well, it's time to total the car.
Right.
Yeah, no, it's a very healthy industry. It's just not healthy where all the focus is.
That's right. We've just seen, like you said, we've seen a shift. And
Yeah.
we're going to continue to see a shift. I mean, I think especially with the numbers that the big two are putting up, they can't really call them the big two anymore. With the numbers that they're putting up,
Well-known two.
yeah, exactly. The infamous two. You gotta think that the parent companies are not going to. They're not going to put up with that for long.
No. They're going to want sales figures. They're going
Exactly.
to make money.
Exactly.
They're going to figure out what's going on, because historically, your boy brought this up, and I used the anecdote a lot. Like when AT&T bought DC, bought Warner and got DC with it. Like, at some point they had to go in and say, okay, we want to see the numbers, and they're like, well, here's Batman selling for 80,000 units. And like, is that like in the Upper East Side of New York, 80,000 units?
Right.
Global. It's like, it's freaking Batman.
Yeah.
You should be selling 80,000 in every large town in America.
Exactly. There was a day when that was the truth. There were books that did over 1 million units.
Yeah. Now they got returned lots of times too, but
absolutely,
there were still way more people buying them.
It was a different model, right?
Yeah. Well, we stomped on our own foot with that model because we had the magazine distribution network. We kept it when we went direct sales. It's not like we said, okay, no more of this, we're going to go to that. We had them both in parallel.
Mm-hmm.
And what happened was we liked our adult stories. We liked our gritty stories. And the creators forgot that they were operating in a parallel economy. And it was an issue of Spawn that was a child abuse story that was in a Walmart. And, it got bought by a grandmother for her grandson. He liked comics, and she read it, and she looked, and she saw that, and she just happened to have the last name of Walton and took it to the board meeting. Said, what are we selling?
So we're not selling this in our stores anymore.
Yeah, because there was no CCA sticker on them. Like, well, we haven't got time to look at every single book that comes in to see if it's appropriate. If comics are doing this, there are comic stores. Let the comic stores sell them. We don't need this tiny little sliver of money. And as Walmart goes, so goes the rest of the market. And we lost the magazine sales route.
Yeah.
Ray Haylock is in the chat. Good to see you, man. Hail and I almost said hail and farewell. No, that's the wrong thing to say.
Right. Exactly.
Hail and welcome.
That's right.
Hail and well,
Ray.
There's the thing.
Exactly.
So give me the elevator pitch on Black Tiger. You're 3 issues in by now. You should have this speech memorized.
Well, it's not just 3 issues. I mean, it's 3 graphic novels at this point.
3 huge issues, 3 books.
Yeah. So, I mean, kind of the way that I've structured the graphic novels is think of them as a collection of issues. So Legacy of Fury, that was basically 6 issues that made up Legacy of Fury. The Hidden Dragon story arc, it's another 6 issues, but it was just split in half. So volume 1 was basically 3 25 plus page issues each. And then so is this. So if you look at it from an issue perspective, there are 12 issues of Black Tiger, all of them 25 plus pages. So it's a lot of good content. This go ahead.
No, I'm agreeing with you.
So this story, this graphic novel, volume 2, is basically the conclusion of the second story arc. So Jen Fong, she is now established herself as the Black Tiger, and if you read Legacy of Fury, you'll get to see how she becomes the Black Tiger. It's kind of a changing of the guard type of a story. And here she finds herself, and it's fun because it's picking up right where the first volume left off. So she just finds herself in the midst of a game of death. That is, you'll see how we get led, how we're led to that in volume 1. But here you get to see the payoff. You get to see her battling these villains called the 5 Fingers of Death, which are basically kind of the hand to the big bad in this story, Lady Dragon. And so you get to see one of the things you'll notice about these stories. I'm a big fan of martial arts, a lot of different martial arts styles. So you're going to see a lot of martial arts in this book. But it's the crux of the story is she as a hero. She's really working to bring honor back to the name of the Black Tiger, which was defamed back originally in the Legacy of Fury story arc. She's also bringing honor back to the name of her family, the Fong family. Her dad was one of the prior Black Tigers, and in the first volume of Hidden Dragon, he is actually posthumously defamed. His day job was as a cop. So she's getting to the root of some corruption in the police department and some things that are all kind of intertwined with the death of her father and the defamation of the Black Tiger. And now it's starting to come to a head. As a hero, she's also trying to bring basically stability back to the city, because with the death of her dad, there was a vacuum. And now you have all these kind of different power. It's like power struggles within the city. So you have the Organizatia, which are your bionic kind of ex-KGB bionic Russians. You have a metahuman cohort, which you see a lot more of in this story arc. And then you also have, of course, you have the cops, which are now privatized, and they have gear to deal with metahumans. But now, along with the privatization, there's some they find themselves on some other missions that they wouldn't have originally been a part of. And all in the middle of these things, you have the Black Tiger trying to hold the city together.
Okay, so you kind of answered the question I was going to ask there, which was whether this was more of a martial arts book or more of a superhero book or a blend. And you're throwing out martial arts and metahumans. I'm like, okay, it's
it's an absolute blend. It's an absolute blend. And honestly, that's one of the things that I love so much about comics. I mean, having the what are your constraints really? It's your imagination and your page rates. So I'm a big proponent of not making comics like you make other media. You don't make comics like you make a TV show or like you make a movie. Their budgetary constraints are completely different. When you pick up a comic, you want to go on an adventure.
Yeah. When I talked to Lou Scheimer, the guy behind Filmation, one of the things we touched on was the Star Trek animated series. That first one they won an Emmy for.
Oh yeah.
And he's like, he talked with Gene Roddenberry. He's like, one of the things we had that they didn't have with the series was budget didn't matter. So you had alien crew members that you couldn't have had in the series before.
Exactly. You take full advantage of the medium for what it is. I mean, kind of part of the challenge that I think this medium has faced is being so many people using it as a springboard for TV and movies. Comics are being written like they are TV shows or they're movies. So it's like, oh, well, we need to make sure we're constraining the number of scenes, make sure we're constraining the action, the number of characters. And it's just like, why? Who wants to read a comic book like that? Who wants to read a comic book that's happening in a coffee shop? No one wants to read that comic book. We want our comics to.
We don't want to read life. We want to escape life.
Exactly. And that's the beauty for those of us that love comics, that and I think that's the affinity that so many of us have for, the characters, the big two characters. I mean, me growing up, reading Spider-Man and Batman, and the way the stories were told, they were told in a compelling way. One thing they did was they gave you jumping on points in every issue. So it didn't matter what number it was on. I think I started reading Avengers at number 182. Didn't matter.
They did it without having to have a big old wall of text on the inside cover.
Thank you. Everything that you needed was within that issue. And if there were things that you needed to know about, they told you about it in a panel, maybe two.
Usually on the front page.
They let you know where you're at. So it's like, you're on board. Boom. You're able to enjoy the adventure and you're able to go along. And that's actually getting to like another point, because you and I were talking about growing the industry as well. And I'm guilty of this. I mean, Hidden Dragon and Legacy of Fury, the way these stories are written, they are written as 2 6-issue story arcs. And, you pick it up in the middle of the story arc, you'll find yourself, there are things that I don't understand, things I don't know. I need to go back to the beginning. That's fine. You know, I mean, and these books are in graphic novel format. One of the things that I'm actually enjoying about Pete Samedi's King Cryptid is that he wrote it a lot like comics were written back in the day, and it really reminds me of how Stray Bullets was written. Because if anyone ever read Stray Bullets by Dave Lapham, he basically had it was more of like a noir, not even a crime noir. It was just like a lot of people making really bad decisions and living with the consequences of those decisions. But what he did was every issue had a beginning, middle, and ending, but it was all part of a bigger tapestry. So I think like the first issue happened in like 1977. You start off like you see people in the theater to see Star Wars, you know, so it gives you a context, and then you get introduced to these characters. And each issue was maybe even in a different time period. Then it takes you to 1980. Then it takes you, you know, back to 1975. But they gave you a complete story, but they gave you a picture that if you put it all together, you're like, man, I really understand what's happening in this world. But you could read any individual issue and still enjoy the story and not feel like, man, I've got, you know, I have no context for what's going on here. And I think one of the things, like I said, I did not deliver that with these first 12 issues. I think with some subsequent stories, I'm going to be looking to do a little bit more of, you know, even if it's every 3 issues, if I continue to tell stories in 3-issue arcs, where it gives people easy jumping on points. Boom.
Yeah, but you were writing a graphic novel. You just broke it up into the 6, chapters.
Exactly.
But yeah, one of the things about the accessibility of comics that we lost happened in the late 80s, early 90s, when they started doing these 12-issue series, which was like a 12-issue arc. Like, you can't jump into issue 7 of Watchmen and read from there. It doesn't work.
No.
And the publishers realized, hey, this is what's happening. We're going to start packaging this way. And the writers quit writing comics and they started writing graphic novels in chapters.
That's right.
So, if you had 6, 8 chapters in something, you can't just slide in as easily as you could when it's like, hey, yeah, Batman's going to stop the Joker from, collapsing the bank on top of Commissioner Gordon this month. And with, things like Spider-Man, like he stops Doc Ock from robbing the laboratory. He's, next issue, he'll stop Green Goblin from, trying to take over the world.
Yeah.
But slowly underneath all of that, he's like, oh, Aunt May is sick. They're trying to set me up with her friend's niece.
Right.
All this slow running soap opera stuff that you didn't need to know everything. You could pick it up and then you didn't have to know, wow, this is a great big fight going on here. Who's this guy? Oh, they've been going at this for 7 issues. No, thanks. I'm not going to jump on.
Exactly. Well, because I think a big part of the difference too, it's like when you, like, for instance, if you watch a Batman movie, I mean, it's really a Bruce Wayne movie with elements of Batman, but it's like, I never bought a Bruce Wayne comic. I never wanted to, it's like I bought Batman comics because I wanted to see Batman. So it's like, you have the like you said with Peter Parker or Spider-Man, you'd have the underlying elements and they give you those elements bit by bit, and you could, you digest them, and okay, you see what's going on with Aunt May, you see what's going on with MJ, but you know what? You had ultimately that it was about Spidey, so those other elements were there, but it wasn't what wasn't driving the story was just simply, okay, well, this is just about, Peter Parker's, kind of sad life, as Spider-Man, and not, people don't know he's really awesome. They think those elements were there, but it was about Spider-Man.
Absolutely. By the way, that's what I loved about the Batman, which grows on me more and more every day. I did not want to like the Batman. Like, oh God, sparkly vampire guy. Come on. But like, guy gets killed and boom, Batman is there working with Commissioner Gordon. I'm like, oh shit, we don't get like a half an hour first before we find out the Waynes were murdered, and then
I know.
It just jumps right in and says, who Batman is. We're telling a story now.
Yeah, and and you have to give him credit for that. It was a Batman movie.
Yeah,
and you're like,
it was a Charles Bronson movie with a mask.
Yeah, and that's what you want in your stories. You never picked up, a story because you simply wanted to see their alter ego. I mean, the alter ego was part of the story arc, but it's like you wanted to see your hero.
Yeah. Yeah, and you knew he had a secret, and God, that secret can't get out. And now everybody knows he's Batman. I don't know what the big deal is anymore.
Yeah.
So with Black Tiger, this is a mantle that's been passed down to her title. Help me understand her powers beyond the martial arts ability set.
Right.
Is this mysticism? Is it something built into the costume?
Well, that's the beauty of also this issue. You start to see, you get a little bit, or with this volume, you start to get a little bit more of the history of Black Tiger. So you get some perspectives going back to ancient Mayan civilization. You get a little bit of a touch of what was going on in during feudal Japan. So you start to realize that the power is even cross cultural. So now you're starting to get a hold of, okay, so this power is being manifested as martial arts, but is it a martial arts power? No. So now you start to get a hold of, okay, well, what is this power? Why is it being manifested in certain ways? And can she manifest it in a different way?
Okay. I've got a special affinity right now for martial arts characters with mystic powers.
Yes.
Because I don't know if you saw, I've broken down. Comics broke me and made me make a comic book, which is in progress right now. Have you seen our comic book in progress?
No.
Let me play you the little video clip here, and it's trimmed like this, so we're still going to be on screen. But
okay.
But here's what I'm working on.
Man history, man of magic. He's a mother-loving son of a fate most tragic. His black mystic arts kung fu is undeniable. His mojo with the ladies is simply indescribable. Can you dig it? He's half vampire, bloodsuckers can't stop him. Half werewolf, half zombie, no way you're gonna top him. High kicking, ass kicking, master of his trade. He's half movie star, you don't need no shaft to blade.
That's what I'm talking about with comics. I mean, it's like, why would you just stick with one genre? I mean, things that I love, blaxploitation, comics, kind of like that old school horror type feel as well. I mean, come on, that's awesome.
Yeah, we're having a lot of fun with this, making it up as we go along, and it's gonna be like 34 pages. It's gonna be hardcover. 34-page hardcover comic. We'll make a softcover one too, but one and done, and then the next adventure.
Yeah,
we'll jump off to other places, but it's not issue 1 of 12 where you have to get all 12 of them to understand what's going on there. It's
man,
meant to be fun.
That is so cool. I love that idea. Hey, Brian, I need to get back at you, man.
Brian, you are correct. John is the real deal here. If you're reading his comics, and again, the link to the campaign right down there, click on it, opens in a whole new window. You can still listen to the interview while you get your wallet out. That's and right. Throw money at this thing. Let's take a look at this. You are funded, first of all. That's the important thing. Funded.
Yes.
I say well funded. You're over the goal that was set. You need more money than this to make a comic.
Would appreciate that.
Yeah.
I mean, I know it's economically challenging times for folks, but it's a good book. It's well worth people's while.
Let's go down and take a look, because you're only asking, what is this version 2? Now this picture is black and white, but it's not a black and white cover.
No,
right?
So it's the cover to the left.
Yeah,
it's that cover. It's when I launched. It was probably 4 days in before I received the colors on the cover, and then at that point,
you can't change
that tier was already rocking. When somebody backs a tier, you can't change it unless I could have closed the tier and done another one, but I was like, I'll just leave it as is.
God, I love Reni's artwork too.
Absolutely, man.
She was in town a couple of months back. We were kicking off Fiendish, and I was like, hey, what is a commission, by the way? And I commissioned a Batgirl bust from her, which is hanging up in my warehouse.
That's awesome.
Freaking awesome. So glad to have that.
Yeah. Yeah,
This
she's
cover
an
rocks.
amazing talent. She's an amazing talent, and it was fun collaborating with her on the cover. You know, she's easy to work with, and you know, I mean, just even in terms of just kind of setting it up and feedback. I mean, she's just a professional.
Yeah, and it's only $25 for this paperback, 88-page Black Tiger Hidden Dragon Volume 2.
That's right.
So hit that one up.
There's 3 cover options. You can't go wrong. That Rini cover is amazing.
Now, these aren't the 3 covers here. This is
so
the 3
those are the
books.
3. Those are the 3 volumes. Exactly. Those are the 3 books. So you can get the 172-page Legacy of Fury. That's a Greg Horn cover on that. There's this 88-page Volume 1. That's actually a Rod Looper cover with colors by the same guy who colored the Rini cover right above. He does an amazing job on his colors, as you can tell. Yeah. And then one of the 3 cover options for Volume 2, that one by Eduardo Vieira. So the reason why there are 3 cover options is these are 3 25 plus page issues. So I made a cover for each issue as well. So I want to have all the collateral so that if and when at some point, you know, whether these can be published as individual issues or whatever, I just wanted to have all the collateral.
Got your covers ready to go.
Got the covers ready.
This is, of course, the featured tier. You've got
that's right.
Your web. Now, what does web reader mean? Is that a PDF or is that a portal?
No. So if you go to the Beyond Time website, there's a web reader on the site. So it's not a PDF, but it's going to the Beyond Time site and being able to read via the web reader on the site.
Okay. So if you want to read online and you don't have a bunch of hard drive space left,
booyah!
John holds your comic for you, and you just go read it when you want.
That's right. And you have options for Legacy of Fury, for Hidden Dragon Volumes 1 and 2.
And then we get down to the other covers here. This is the Looper edition of Hidden Dragon Volume 2, which is also this panel right here.
That's right. That's the first time I'd done that. I mean, he makes amazing artwork, and fundamentally with that panel, I was like, that has to be the cover for the book. I mean, for that issue, fundamentally, I was like, that is, yeah. Well, this is I'm telling you, there's so much great action. Basically, it's a game of death. So you have this caged game of death where Black Tiger and one of her adversaries there, Henri, you actually have to band together to fight against the 5 Fingers of Death. And it is a knockdown, drag-out fight that does not go so well for those ladies.
All 3 of the volumes. Here's the thing I like. All 3 of the choices are $25. It's not like, this one's going to be 30, this one's going to be 25, this one's going to be 20. It's an equal shot.
One to give an equal shot, and the other thing is there's an interior gallery, so everyone gets everything. So there's an interior gallery with all 3 of the covers in it. I didn't want, it's like, oh man, I bought this book and I didn't get that one image.
Yeah.
I'm like, not if you're paying $25, you should get all of it.
Yeah. That's very cool.
Yeah.
And of course, here's the $25 for Volume 1. This is the Looper cover.
That's right. That's right.
I still remember when I saw this the first time you launched. I was like, wow, he got Greg Horn. I haven't seen Greg Horn since Marvel. When he drew Spider-Man lingerie on that girl, like forever burned in my brain. $35 for this. It's a bigger book.
Yeah, that's 172 pages. So that's a bigger book. So you'll still get a lot of bang for your buck.
It's like over twice as big, and it's not twice as much. So
that's right. That's right. Trying to, it's one of those things too, where it's like as the volumes grow, I mean, everyone knows when they're backing these, you're paying, basically premiums because you're helping us bring this into the world.
Right.
So I kind of wanted to make a price point for folks that are newer to it. Because, like, I mean, it could be split into 2 graphic novels that are each $25 a piece, and that would not be unreasonable in kind of this economy. But I wanted to make something that was really accessible. It's like, okay, $35 for 172 pages. That math works.
Yeah, you can get them all 3 here at one shot. It's the same price as if you buy them separate, but you only have to,
You save where your savings are on the shipping.
Yeah, you don't get that shipping added and added and added.
Exactly.
So this is probably what I'm going to hit up then, because I want this book now. I didn't miss it the first time. I just didn't get it because I was broke.
Hey, man, let me tell you, I understand that, my friend.
We've all been there.
We have all been there.
It always hits me at the end of the year. It's like, I put a big old chunk of money in the bank at the beginning of the year, and I'm like, okay, there's my rent and everything. It's just kind of like, and I was like, ooh, it's like November. I can't be just like overdrawing the way I normally do.
I know.
It's covered by this. So now, actually, what I've really got in the bank is what I've really got in the bank.
Yeah.
There's none of that funny money hanging around.
Exactly.
But yeah, this complete edition here, $85, folks. This is, and they're all paperback, right? I mean, it's not that
That's
one's
correct.
not hardcover.
They're all paperback. We did do, the very first Legacy of Fury campaign, I did a hardback, and it was, it was more of just my nerd fantasy to do it, but I fundamentally subsidized everybody that got one of those.
Oh,
my wife was like, your business model just isn't working. She's like, you realize we can't do that on a going forward basis. I'm
look,
like,
you're gonna need a hardcover of the 2 volumes together into one story. Talk to me first. We're a publisher, dude.
Yeah, I'll talk to you about that. Because I've had people ask me about that. So it's like, it would be 350 pages. So I'd be up for that.
Okay. Yeah. It's not impossible for us. So we can,
all right. We're going to talk.
We'll help you price it. We'll tell you exactly what it would cost to make, and then you can figure out what you would need to charge crowdfunders. And yeah, let's make that happen. We'll talk after the show.
We'll talk. We will talk.
Girl Fight, $300. This is original art from the book.
That's right. Some good old original art. These are pencils by Rod. Man, the guy, his art just gets better and better and better. And
what you can do when your artist is not digital.
Thank you. Exactly.
You got an extra revenue stream to work off of, artists. And the cover is there. Look at that.
That's right.
Five Fingers of Death, $300. How big are these? These 11 by 17 Bristol board kind of deals, or
Bristol board? Yep, exactly.
Okay, yeah.
Exactly.
There's a frame exactly in that size, and you don't have to pay a whole lot for it. It's at Walmart, just $5.85, I believe it is.
Is that right?
Yeah. Oh yeah, these poster frames. Trust me, my wall is covered. I just can't put it on camera because YouTube would say, not 50% of them. YouTube would say, okay, yeah, we got to take you down. I got. I'm not ashamed. I got a comic today. Christy Kringle. It came.
Oh, that's come in the mail.
Yep. It came in the mail today, and I've got a couple of booties up there. Nice. I buy those books. I buy lots of other books.
Hey, it's disposable income.
I'm varied. Here's the page with the meta gulag. Okay, so now the meta gulag, that makes me think of Kingdom Come. This is where all the bad guys are kept. This is your Belle Reve.
This is my Belle Reve. It is. It's my ode to Belle Reve. And I mean, at the end of the day, it's, comics, you have various tropes. My whole thing is just pay good homage to the tropes when you use them.
Yeah. Nothing wrong with tropes. They succeed because they succeed.
Yeah. And I definitely pay homage to the Morlocks with my metahumans, because I can still remember reading that story arc originally. I think the artist was Paul Smith. It was with first you had like the Angel, when Angel disappeared and he's basically strung up, and you know, he's got his wings are kind of like crucified kind of by his wings. And
I remember that.
Then Storm has that just amazing fight with Callisto. And I mean, I can just remember reading that as a kid and just going like, oh my gosh, this is crazy.
Yeah, the Morlocks were sort of like the response to, hey, are all mutants pretty? No.
Exactly. Do all mutants look like Storm? No.
Pretty mutants.
You got
X-Men.
Storm, Jean Grey, you've got Rogue. I mean, even Rogue. I mean, it's like, yeah,
You got White Queen. Okay.
White Queen. Oh my goodness, right? I mean, it's like, no, they don't all look that way. Because you had like the Brotherhood of Evil Mutants. You always had like Toad.
Yeah,
you're like,
You had Toad, but you also had the Hellfire Club.
Yeah.
It was okay to be an ugly guy, but even Hank, before he was all blue beast, was still a decent looking chap for his hunched over persona.
Just a hairy dude, but he wasn't like an ugly guy.
Want to remind everybody at the top of the hour here to head over to Mike Walters, the Mic Stand, and hit the like and subscribe on that. Get your daily dose of niche news, everything in comics, manga, anime, and professional wrestling and sports.
Nice.
And of course, this Friday is the special night of the week. This is when Mike goes over the comic historic retrospective. We go back into the Wayback Machine. We pull up comics from the Golden Age. We are into the 1939s right now, and we read them out loud online with voices, with sound effects. It's like radio theater of the mind again.
That's awesome.
So if you want to see that, definitely tune in. Hit that link in the chat. Go over to Mike's channel and give a sub so you don't miss any of those shows. You're going to want to see those. So every one of these pages, by the way, that have been scrolling by, somebody's getting their ass kicked. That's comics.
That's what happens. That's what happens. I want folks to know that, you're not going to just get coffee shop banter. You're going to get a lot of people getting the business, because that's what I always wanted to see in a comic. At the end of the day, when we make comics, you want to make comics that are entertaining, but if you yourself wouldn't buy the comic, then why in the world would you make it?
Exactly. And I like this here. It's like these two chicks are just fighting with each other. He zaps them with his taser powers, and it's like, no guns. And instead of getting pissed at him and going after him, they're like, okay, we'll just keep fighting each other.
So the great thing is that they're part of the Organizatsia. They're kind of the ex-KGB Bionic Russians, and they both work for him, but those two hate each other. So he keeps them, he keeps them apart. But after something that happened in volume 1, where basically his team got rolled by the Five Fingers of Death, he needs them both working in concert. But first, they got to fight it out a little bit, because that's how it is in comics. So he's got to let them fight it out a little bit, and
that's the only way to resolve the situation.
That's how it works.
Got to slap it out.
Exactly.
I'll say this page up here is the next one. I just recognized the art and I wanted to show it off there.
Yeah. I mean, I'm just, one of the things that I always loved in comics. I remember growing up, I wasn't reading Daredevil. My buddy was reading Daredevil, and he had basically the Frank Miller run. I remember sitting on his brother's bunk bed, reading The Death of Elektra. One of the things that always got me was the way that Frank Miller drew fight scenes. I mean, really sequentially laid out fight scenes. And I said, man, that's how it should be done. So that's one of the things that I love, especially as somebody that loves martial arts. I want the fights to have a flow.
Now, does your artist understand martial arts? Because it's kind of important for a martial arts story that the artist can not just draw the strikes, but draw the sequence so that you can say, wait a second, you were standing over there a second ago. How'd you end up in that position from that kind of a strike?
So when it comes to choreographing the fights, I'm pretty anal. So, I mean, sometimes I'll use clips from particular like Hong Kong movies, and I'll send them to him, and I'll say like, hey, I think you should use, these as kind of like your key is this keyframe, this keyframe, this keyframe. Sometimes I'll use my paltry ability to draw, to send him something, or maybe I'll use like a 3D render to give him like an idea of poses. And sometimes what I'll use, I mean, as someone that has practiced Kung Fu, sometimes what I'll do is I'll use some of like the guide artwork, or some like the guiding images for particular styles, and then just say like,
Sure.
okay, well here's our guidance, but then just like a Hong Kong movie, then you got to turn it into a dance. So this is the move, but then there has to be hyperbole to it. You've got to make it more than just a simple move. Now you know the move they're trying to do, you got to make it into a dance.
Yeah. Now you got we have a jump from the $300 tier to the $500 tier because this artwork's a little bit more detailed.
So yeah, we went from pencils to inks. Now you're getting penciled and inked artwork. So
okay.
now you're getting the inks.
I get it. Yeah.
Yeah. So you get a picture of feudal Japan, and hey, some basically there's a goblin warlock and a goblin shogun. So I don't want to give away too many elements about that, but I mean, you guys are going to enjoy that story. I mean, we go into the backstory, and you're just like, oh my goodness, this is awesome. So just the elements, it's just what you and I are talking about, RJ. You're unconstrained when it comes to comics. So we are unconstrained when we are making these books.
I remember when I was a kid watching the Mickey Mouse Club. Yeah, it was a real show, guys. And one of the days of the week was, it's anything can happen day. In comics, that's every day.
That's all the time.
Yes.
And some of our favorite stories just historically were those anything can happen stories.
Like
those
dragon in a mall.
Let me tell you, that's the stuff of nightmares right there. I didn't want to go to the mall for a year after that. I said that could happen. I don't want to go to the mall and a dragon manifest itself. At least stay away from the food court.
Oh, well, yeah, because I've heard some roar come out of there after.
Exactly.
Here's again that Gregland cover in larger aspect for volume number 1.
Yes, sir.
You want to know what you're getting, and just more and more pages from the. This is good stuff, folks. If you're into comics, you know that this is what you want. I did not take a look at what this number was when we came in. I hope you can tell me it changed. Oh wait, this is Indiegogo. It's the same number. I have to refresh.
Yeah.
Let's do that and see if anybody made some magic happen here. We're at $38.95, and we come back at $38.95. I have completely wasted your time. You could have been somewhere else making money.
Not at all, man. It's always a pleasure hanging out with you, RJ. Hanging out.
Well, I appreciate that.
And we will talk about hardcover, brother. That's going to happen.
I've made so many friends doing this kind of thing, and it's I know you're all online friends, but yeah, we talk, we help each other. We can still do that. It's not just likes and thumbs. Eric, Good to see you out there, man. Thank you for popping in.
Eric.
So, how long have we got left to get this thing?
So we have 2 weeks. We have 2 weeks before the campaign closes. I'm probably not going to leave the campaign open for very long. I have another campaign for a completely different property that I want to launch, and I'm trying to just maybe tweak my campaigning strategies a little bit. I think I'm not convinced that having the campaign just open-endedly open helps you to sell many more books.
Yeah,
So,
I mean, if it's like selling every single day, then leave it open, obviously. But yeah, at some point it kind of peters off.
Yeah. So I mean, we'll see. I wasn't planning on leaving this open for very long, and then just kind of moving on to the next property. Maybe a little bit of absence will help for when we return, and then people will want to kind of glom on. Yeah, I know it's been kind of a weird time. I mean, it's like I think across the board. I mean, economically things are weird. Things are weird with all these different platforms. I'll probably will try Fund My Comic next go around, but it's like it's just such a challenge when it's like the platform is playing into whether people are going to back your book.
Yes.
You're just like this. It's like if you like it, back it. If you don't.
I definitely plug Fund My Comic, but I also say, as long as all the platforms are letting you sign up on them, sign up on all the platforms.
Yeah, I think you're right.
Do it in a way that works, I guess. I mean, don't sign up at all of them and run them all at the same time. You're splitting your audience up, and then you don't get funded on any of them.
Exactly. But I think you're right.
Then go to the others,
because you find that there are people that are will only back on particular platforms, which is fine. So then it's like, okay, so then you need to run it on different platforms.
Exactly. And there's not just three. There's Zoop.
Yep.
I've seen some other people starting to come up with ideas. I think that's going to be these things take time to set up, but I think 2025 is going to be the year of the platform. That's when we're going to see an explosion. And I don't think that's necessarily going to be a good thing either.
I think it's going to be harder because it's going to be dividing all of our dollars all the more, because the platforms come up, but then people become, and I'm not even saying it's not for a good reason, but people then become, fans or, they become locked in with a particular platform. And I'm not saying it's not for good reason because there have been different issues with different platforms. So then all of a sudden as a creator, your objective is to try and get your book into many people's hands as you can. I mean, I've gotten messages from people like, hey, if this were on Kickstarter, I would have backed it. Hey, if this were on Fund My Comic, I would have backed it. I'm like, I can't run all these campaigns at the same time.
Which is ridiculous. It shouldn't make it. There's nothing preventing you from backing something on the platform that you're not a fan of.
Yeah.
Now, if somebody builds a platform where they do find a way to lock in customers, or like, hey, we've got access to your bank or something, we can make direct withdrawals. We're real super easy. Then yeah, they might lock them into where like, I don't even want to look over there because this is the only place I go.
Right.
It's not a physical lock, but much the way Walmart has locked in people who need to buy, groceries and toilet paper.
Right.
You get it at the small mom and pop store. You just don't go there.
You just don't go there. I mean, it's almost like having, I hate the idea of it, but it's almost like having the Amazon of kind of platforms. You know what I mean? It's like, if one of the things is our market is so small, but yet so segregated, that, it's like we're a challenge amongst each other right now, and you're just like, how do we make this thing work? I feel like at least in terms of numbers, or at least I felt like, at least for us, things really peaked more around, I don't know, probably around the pandemic, maybe because people were trapped at home. People didn't have anywhere else to go. There weren't as many platforms. I felt like it was easier to gain traction. But then Indiegogo's had their foibles. They've had their issues, and now people, I'm sure, have more things they can do with their life now. They're not trapped. So I'm sure there's a lot of different elements, and inflation.
We were watching all the live streams. We were watching everybody's shows on YouTube.
Everybody shows, right? Yeah. So, I mean, it's like, I'm sure everybody's feeling it to an extent.
Well, I'm still home all day, but I don't even watch. I got YouTube burned. I was like, another stream, 5 people streaming at the same time. I'm going to read Twitter and somebody's going to tell me what I should have watched, and then I'll go watch that.
Then you can go back and watch it, right?
Yes, exactly. Exactly. All right. John, we've reached the top of the hour here. Is there, you mentioned another project coming up. Is this going to be in your Magna universe or?
So I was going to run Magna and the Posse campaign, which I ran already in Indiegogo. Like, I was taking your advice. I was going to run that on Kickstarter, and I was going to run that on Fund My Comic, just trying to get more eyeballs on these different campaigns. Yeah. The challenge is I don't want to have multiple campaigns running at the same time. Even though that campaign is basically a rehash of my other campaign, I don't want to have so many campaigns running at one time. You know, because I still feel like even if that's not a platform that I'm, you know, promoting or pushing, it still takes you doing some legwork, you know. And I mean, even like running this one, it's like, you know, a lot of my, you know, when I tweet, a lot of it is about this campaign. I don't want to be tweeting about two campaigns at the same time.
Exactly. You don't overextend your own capabilities. That's that you know, like John Wayne said, man's got to know his limitations.
Yeah, and Eric's right. You know, people have had bad experience with certain crowdfunders, and all these things impact us.
People have had bad experiences with every crowdfunder. Every crowdfunder out there, there's one person at least who says, you know what, I didn't like how that worked. So could be the crowdfunder platform, could be the person who didn't know what they were doing. But you know, there's always gonna be one of them.
Absolutely.
All right. Well, we'll look forward to seeing you launch the Magna one. And
yes.
We'll bring it over here. We can talk about that one too.
Absolutely, man. I'll definitely do that, and we can talk more comic book goodness. You know, yeah, that is a challenge. You know, it's the late books. The
late books has always been.
Especially if you open up more campaigns after you're late. I mean, it becomes a challenge.
I have real hopes that this third book in the Cyberfrog run is actually going to be on time, if not early. I think that I think the message has been received.
Mm-hmm.
I think Ethan heard it. I think Ethan felt it, and I would almost, but I won't really put money on the third Red Extermination being on time.
Yeah,
but I'm going to wait till I see that it's on time.
And the books are beautiful.
They are, and you know that takes time to produce something of that quality. So you know,
and just I know we're about to leave, but that's one of the things I have to say about crowdfunding, and one of the things that we tried to do in our books. It's like you realize that people are waiting much longer than they would with the periodicity of like a comic when you go to a shop to pick it up. So it's like you feel beholden that almost every page has to be a masterpiece.
Yes, but at the same time, you know, if you're not out there quick enough to follow up on what the last issue was, you reach this thing that Mike Tierney on our LCS guy show, comic shop owner, called the expiration of expectations. You wait long enough after that cliffhanger doesn't care. You don't care about it anymore.
Yeah.
And I get that. It's like, you know, after 6 months, I'm like, do I really care to find out if Superman's going to get out of that kryptonite?
Yeah, you're like, I don't care anymore.
Yeah. The only one I care about is I need to know whether Reggie Mantle is going to kill Betty Cooper in Afterlife with Archie. It's been nearly 10 years, guys. Get that last issue out. I need to see this.
Man, talk about stringing it out.
Oh, well, they just flat out canceled it in the middle of a high-selling title. And they canceled it because Roberto Aguirre Sacasa became the showrunner on Riverdale and didn't write comics anymore. So they just stopped. They just stopped.
But the thing so this is my thing. I've come full circle with comics. You know, it's the first medium that I ever really loved, and then I had so much fun seeing heroes that I love being turned into live action and all this kind of stuff. I've gone full circle. I love comics. I think it's the best mode of storytelling for different reasons that we spoke about. Just like your constraints are just your page rate, your imagination, and the fact that it's a left brain, right brain exercise. When you read a book, I mean, it's almost like it's animated, but you're filling it out in your mind. I mean, you're getting like the key frames on every page.
You're on fire in a way that you don't make fire in any other activity that you do.
Yeah. Yeah. And if you can't love comics, don't make comics. I mean, you know, my whole thing is like, if this dude, all he had to do was finish one other issue. I'm like, if was comics that much of a stepping stone for you that you couldn't just knock out that last issue? Really? You're like, I got what I wanted. Now beat it.
Yeah, exactly. And the best comics for people who love comics are made by people who love comics. We've gone too many years with we had a passing of the old guard. It's what killed the mainstream. The famous too is that all the people who loved comics aged out of the business or were aged out of the business as people who loved making money with intellectual property took over.
Yes, I know.
So it's a thing. It's going to have to come back around.
I think all these things are cyclical, and we're going to see this come back around. And we're kind of, we're kind of the ones that are, we're holding the conch now. We have the opportunity now to make the stories with heart and really show the love. And hopefully we'll also figure all these things out with how to get the books into people's hands. I'm a proponent just like you. I mean, it's like some people have given up on shops. I love local comic shops. We just need a viable way to be able to get our content there. That's my thought process. My thought process is not to throw out the baby with the bathwater.
I know people are working on that. I'm coming up with a distribution plan for that. I thought about it, and I was like, you know what? I'm happy doing it to the customer. I've still got a plan in place, but I need to grow my business first to a point where I can sustain it before I try to take on that next level kind of distribution. Yeah. I'll still do it if retailers reach out and sort of like hey, we want to buy some books, but the thing that killed that, the thing that made it hard was that these are crowdfunded books, and when I say, hey, I got a retailer interested, what's your price? $25, and a retailer's like, no, I can't do that.
That's right. That's right. It's going to take a different model. I mean, it's almost like your crowdfunders, they're your early adopters. They get the premium, high quality, 100-pound paper. That's what they get, but it's like you go to the shops, it's almost like you have to have a completely different model. It's like you got to have more of the newspapery, you know what I mean? It's got to be a lower price point. Maybe you don't do graphic novels at all. Maybe it's just, and that's why I wanted to have covers. Maybe it is floppies, so people can say like, you know what? Sure, I'll spend $4, $3 to get a floppy, and I'll take a flyer on this book. But they're not going to take a flyer for $25.
Exactly.
Like I'm not going to just.
Not going to happen.
Yeah.
Although we're doing it all the time, but again,
that's because we're different. We're the ones that we really love the books. And the thing we have to realize, like even as each and every one of us as a collector, there was a point when we were casual. There was a point when we were just kind of introduced to it and we came to it. And then we all had that moment, whether it was that particular story or that particular book. And we said like, oh man, this is it.
Yeah.
Now I'm a collector. This now I mean business.
Now we took partial ownership in the character.
Absolutely.
Which is why we get so upset when, the companies screw them up.
That's right.
It is like, you're not just screwing up your character, you're screwing up our character.
Exactly.
We own it just as much as you do. You just get to make the money. Is
Exactly.
that audacious to say? But it's true in a sense. Anyhow, John, we are over time.
Sorry, brother.
It's fine. I don't know if you got to be somewhere. I don't have to be anywhere, and it's not like we're running into somebody else's show right now. But I do want to thank you for popping on here and talking about Black Tiger with us. And yeah, folks, again, campaign. If you're watching on replay, again, right below the video, click it. It's live for 2 more weeks. You can get up to 3 different books here, big, fat graphic novels. Put them in your collection. You've seen the artwork. It's gorgeous. I'm not even gonna show up. I'm gonna refresh this one more time just to see what happens on the outside here. I'm not gonna say what happened because if it was something good, I'd have put it up, right? I've actually had a show where somebody did a refund during the show. The guy came on my show and lost money.
That's brutal.
Yeah, you know what? The LCSs don't promote anything, and you know what? The LCSs have also been told that they're the ones responsible for promoting. When publishers are the one with all the big money, why aren't they running commercials?
Yeah.
I listen to a lot of old radio, John, and there was a series called The Saint,
Mhm.
Vincent Price on the radio. And by the way, at the same time that he was on the radio, he was in comics. You know what they did at the end of every radio episode? Look for the new exciting adventures of the Saint in comic books at your local. And I was like, where's that?
Man,
Where is that?
can you imagine? And I'm about to go off because, like, can you imagine if they did that at the end of the Marvel movies back when they were good?
Yeah.
You know, I mean, how simple is that? I mean, one of the things that I loved, I used to collect the Hulk, and I think Sal Buscema was the artist, so he was awesome anyway. But I remember picking up the book, and on it said like the TV sensation Hulk, and I used to love watching the show with Bill Bixby and Lou Ferrigno. But there was something even added to it that I was like, yeah. I mean, the books were nothing like the show, but just the fact that it had that stamp on there, the TV sensation, I was like, oh man, I gotta get the Hulk.
Yeah. But now that's the comic driving you to the TV show. Can you imagine if the TV show ended with, by the way, this week in this month in the Hulk, see the Hulk fight the leader to determine the supremacy of the atom world with Jarella. Who shall win? Find out in Hulk number 273. Now on sale. They could have really drove sales even with that. Wow, that's a whole show.
Yeah, I'll have to come back for that because that is a show.
That's a panel discussion for the big guys.
Yeah.
All right, everybody in the chat, thank you so much for being here tonight. We don't have a show without you, and we're glad you're here. We're just a podcast falling in the woods without you out there listening to us. So we're always happy when you show up. And as always, while you were here, we just hope you had a blast.
Absolutely.